Hi, everyone. It's Kariana, your favorite witchy coach. So how is everybody doing? Happy Halloween, everybody. By the time that you guys are watching this, you guys would have already celebrated Halloween. So I intend that everything was great and spooky and all the fun things. But I'm not letting go of Halloween just yet. I'm going to still have my pumpkins out and my decorations and all of that because October went by way, way, way too fast for me. All right. So guys, let's dive into this video. I'm not going to make it super long. You know, we've got things to do, but I am going to continue with the Q&A because that's what you guys want from me. I asked you guys if you wanted a part 2, and you guys are like firing off so many questions to me. It's insane, but I'm thinking that I can fit like 3 of them in one video if it's like more rapid fire. I'm not going to go like hella deep into these topics, but I'm going to give you what you need to kind of start off your manifestation journey on what you're telling me that you need guidance on. All right. So, but before I dive into that, I wanted to remind you guys to like, share, and subscribe, and remind you guys that all of the information from my sessions will be down in the description box below. Check them out. I would love to help you on your journey. So if you catch this video and I've answered one of your questions and you need more guidance, contact me. Or if you're watching this video and you're like, that sounds like my situation or similar or whatever, and I need more guidance, I need more help me, Kariana. I am here for it. Also too, do not forget to check out our free course on how to find your blocks and manifest anything fast. That will be a very helpful tool because we all know that getting past our blocks and resistance, like recognizing them, acknowledging them, and then getting past them is the key to manifesting, bringing in our manifestations very quickly, calling them in. All right, guys. So first and foremost, okay, like I said, you guys are like bringing the questions and I am trying to keep up. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling from like the new questions and the old questions, and I'm combining them so everybody gets a fair shot at me answering their questions. And like I said, it's going to be more like rapid fire. And then I'm going to try to include a few in each video. I would ask you guys if you want a part 3, but I can guarantee you guys would say yes. So I think that, maybe next video or the video after that, I will be continuing on with the Q&A just to, help you guys out a little bit. Because I know that this is the time of year where everybody wants to be cuffed up. Everybody wants their SP. Everybody wants to bring in more money for presents for Christmas. Everybody wants to be abundant and happy and cozy and have everything that you desire, right? Year round, but especially I think this time of year, we get very sentimental about those things. All right, guys. So let's step into our power. All right. So first question, okay, I pulled this from an older question list. So this person, I'm not going to read it verbatim because it's just basically in a nutshell. They're asking me about like psychics, tarot, and the spiritual stuff, right? Because I'm witchy. I'm sure that's the reason why they asked me about this question. And I've been knowing about this stuff my whole life, right? It's been passed down to me. So in a nutshell, okay, just to make this very quickly with this question, my viewpoint on this, okay, on like tarot, psychics, those kind of things, absolutely 1000%. I do not think that it's a negative thing, but you have to go in, okay, with the mindset, not looking for validation per se, right? But if you are going in to get some guidance, right, to see what story is predominantly living inside of you, right, then that's a good way to approach those type of things. I absolutely think that it's a good guide. It's a good way to check in with your energy, to check in with the state that you're in and see what the predominant story is playing still in your mind, right? I made a whole video on this. Please check that out, and go from there, because that video is solely based on talking about this subject and this subject only. Okay. So it'll give you a lot more detail and a lot more guidance. But in a nutshell, that's what I believe about those things, because everything is a rejection of our thinking, our mindset. We're creating everything with our assumptions. That's the way that I feel about psychics, tarot readers, and those kind of things. But I absolutely do not think that it's a negative thing. It's just all in how you approach it. Okay. It's your perspective of it, right? Okay. So your perception. Okay, so moving forward, so check out that video. So whoever asked that question, I'm answering it now, and I'm going to go into way more detail on that other video. So check that video out. All right, moving forward. So these are like the bigger, longer questions, lengthy questions. So one of the questions is, I'm just going to put it up here so I can not be looking in a weird direction. Okay, so it says, would love if you could provide some guidance on what to do when the SP comes in, but then disappears again. I feel like I've been much more conscious of what I'm thinking, but this continues to happen with the same SP. Okay, so key is that the person is coming in and then disappearing, and it's happening with the same SP. Okay, so I don't know your story. I don't know your backstory. I don't know if this is a relationship pattern with you. Okay. Or I don't know if it's just this person, but we're going to focus on just this person since I don't know your background. And it's happening with the same SP, and it sounds like it is a repetitive thing. It's like it's happening, over and over again. Okay. So you have to really look within yourself and be honest. Okay. And tell yourself, what is my story? Okay. About this person coming in and coming out, or what is my story based around relationships, right? And how SPs are not consistent in my life, maybe after a certain time, or maybe SPs aren't consistent at all. Maybe everybody wants a situationship with me and they don't commit. Maybe you have a story about how nobody prioritizes you, nobody values you or your time, that, your SP just does not, think of you in a way of anything beyond this person's going to be here when I get back, so I can just pretty much do whatever I want, right? I.e. valuing you. Okay. So you really, really, really have to check yourself in that story and ask yourself, just honestly sit down after watching this video, right? And write down some things that pop up in your mind, or that popped up in your mind during this video, because your brain is always going to remind you of what that story is. Okay. Especially if there's something in front of your face, clear, that's reminding you of that, i.e. like this video. Okay. It's going to really key in on your fears, right? So the doubts that you have, like say for instance, as I'm talking, you could be sitting here saying, yeah, this has always been a situationship. This person's never really truly fully committed to me. This person is kind of, well, you already said that this person's been in and out and it's been with the same SP. So you probably have some kind of history and pattern with this person, right? And so I really just want you to sit and think about, how do I view this person? How do I view this person in my world, right? What are my assumptions about how they're going to really honestly show up for me? Be honest with yourself, okay? And, when an SP is coming in, it's really easy for us to, get excited and happy, and we're on top of the world, and they're taking us out on dates. They're spending a little bit of attention on us, right? Or they're giving us some attention. They're spending a little bit of time and i.e. money, taking us out, on dates and stuff like that. It can be really, easy to be kind of on top of the world, right? Feeling great. And then you kind of drop everything you're doing and focus on that person and make everything about them. And there lies the problem, right? Is that, you can be excited. You can be happy that this person's coming in. You can be, going out on dates and being on top of the world and feeling this great energy with this person and being in this great state. I'm not trying to say that you can't, right? But you cannot make at any time, especially when they're coming in, right? But I mean, even if they're not coming in, you're trying to change the separate story, should never make it all about this person, right? It always has to be about us and the story that is really echoing within us, right? The story that's being played within us. And therefore everybody else is going to, reflect that to us, right? And that's why he's in and out, is because the story in you is not solid. And so if you're making this about this person, always making it about this person is always going to make it about themselves, right? Because they're just projecting what the story is within you, right? I'm not in my power and I'm making everything about SP. And I'm just assuming that this is your story, because usually when somebody's in and out, I mean, it can be several different things, but a lot of what I see is somebody is not in their power. Okay. And they are making it all about somebody else and not their power, and turning within, right? And making it less about doing and more about deciding that this is your reality, right? That this is actually your story with SP. This person is coming in, steady. They're consistent with me, that they prioritize me, that they value me more and more each day. They see my value, that I don't care how busy they are, right? They might be busy. I can acknowledge that they're busy, but they're never too busy for me. They're never too busy to drop everything they're doing and contact me and, message me and ask me how my day is going, or call me up and ask me on a date for later on that night or later on that day. Okay. Really, really, really look at the story that you're telling about this person. Okay. And, like I said, it's really easy to get caught up in being in the moment when they're coming in, and, kind of dropping the story and focusing only on your 3D and only on this person and what they're doing at the moment. And then the minute that they're out again, then you're focused on how much you're upset, how much you're disappointed, how much you're this, that. And it's kind of like starting all over again and being in that hamster wheel. But when they're coming in, what do I always say? I always say when they're coming in, that's when I want you to go hard. I'm not saying that we turn into obsessing and doing everything, every method under the sun and watching every video under the sun, because then that just keeps you in that powerless, chasing, needy energy, holding on, operating in fear. I'm talking about we go hard where we step into our power. Okay. We remind ourselves who the F we are. Okay. And we really, really strengthen that story within ourselves. And it's less about doing and more about just deciding. You can make everything about yourself, but you can also have the assumption whenever the story comes up that this person is here to stay. They're consistent. What are they thinking? They're thinking about me. Of course, they're thinking about me. What are they doing? They're picking up the phone because they decided that they're going to call me and they're going to express that to me. What are they doing right now? They're about to leave work and come to my house with flowers to show me effort, right? What are they going to do right now? They're about to leave work or about to take their break and pick up the phone and call me because they can't get me off their mind. And they're about to ask me out tonight because they've decided that they want to spend their night with me. Who else would they want to spend their night with? Okay. So I just take that. And if you have any other questions, I can do my best to answer them on the video. Guys, I try my hardest to rapid fire these things off and like kind of pick out, like, I think, the really big points of the things that I think are really going to guide you. And do what I can, on video. Of course, this can't turn into a coaching session. So, all right. So take that with you. Right. But yeah. In a nutshell, the more regulated, the more steady that you are in your story about being a powerful creator. And then in turn about your assumptions about how this person's going to show up for you, consistent, steady, valuing and prioritizing you. Okay. And really work on how this person views you, i.e., they value me. They see me as a valuable person. They see me as a magnetic person. They see me as a strong person, an attractive person, a person that makes them feel drawn in, a person that makes them feel like they're at home when they're with me, right? When, they view me as their perfect partner, their dream partner. There's nobody else that they would want to be with, right? So in a nutshell, really strengthen that story. All right, babe? Okay, so I'm going to move forward. All right, so the other question that I had was, this is kind of a fun one, and I I think I've only got asked this question a few times, like in comments. I have worked on it in session before with my clients, but it's kind of a cool thing because it's about thought transmission. Thought transmission. Why can't I talk today? All right. So it says how thought transmission works in case of unknown SP. Parentheses, he doesn't know me. Okay. He doesn't know me. All right. So first and foremost, guys, guess what? The person doesn't have to know you for thought transmission to work. You created them. You brought them into your reality, right? So this person is here. Okay. They're your creation. Okay. So thought transmission happens with every single person in your reality. Okay. You can't turn that off. I always say it's a switch that you can't turn off, right? You're not even in control of that, but you can control what you transmit. Okay. Because you are the transmitter. So what you're transmitting out into your energy field, you always have control over that. You always have control over that. Do not forget that. I'm repeating that on purpose. Okay. So yeah, this person doesn't have to know you. Okay. You created them. Okay. So say that, you create them, you call them into your reality, but right, the way that 3D is pushing out is that they are distant from you. They're a stranger from you. Right. So ask yourself, okay. Ask yourself, use thought transmission in your favor. Like I said, because you can control what you transmit out. Okay. I always say you are the puppet master. You're the instruction giver. You're the transmitter. Okay. So make it work in your favor. Ask yourself, what do I want next from this person? Okay. Now that I've brought them into my reality, they're here. Okay. What do I want next from them? Okay. So I want this person, because I've had clients come to me about like famous people that like they know of, but they don't know them. Right. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you want next? Okay. So ask yourself, what do you want next from this person? Okay. Well, I would guess that you probably want this person without knowing you. You probably want this person to acknowledge you, run into you, meet you, maybe follow you on social media, maybe slide into your DMs. Right. So you're going to focus. Okay. And in creating a story, okay, put your awareness on the new story, which the new story should be about the fact that you guys meet, right? That this person, like I said, if you want, okay, let's use an example. I'm going to kind of reel this in a little bit. Okay. So let's just say that we want this person, we follow this person on social media and they don't know us. Okay. Or yeah, let's use that. Okay. Cause that happens a lot. So, you're following this person on social media or you're thinking about it, or you notice this person on social media and they're attractive to you, but they don't know you. Okay. And you want this person to slide into your DMs, right? So you want to eventually start talking to this person and meet this person in person and all those things, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to make a solid story about how this person, it comes to you, comes into your, comes across your page, thinks that you're attractive, they're magnetic to you, they can't get you off their mind, that they, they like and, like your post, they follow your page, that they slide into your DMs, so keep that going, right? If you know this person's name or not, it doesn't matter. Even if you have a picture of this person, like, you know what they look like or whatever, that's fine, right? And, you can do that a bunch of different ways. First of all, just do it with your mental diet, right? You could script it out. Scripting is fun. And it's very, you can really use your imagination and think limitless on how this is all going to happen and write this out in grand detail. I love to script. I think scripting is amazing for that. Okay. You could use telephone method where you're like on the phone and you're talking to me, or you're talking to your bestie and you're saying, oh, I can't, guess what, girl, or whatever, babe, bestie, hey, guess what? Guess who followed me today? He slid into my DMs and said ... left me a message, was flirty, asked me for my number, those kind of things. Okay. So just really, to sum it up, make a positive story, right? And a clear story to your subconscious, okay, about how, you're going to come together with this person. Okay. don't focus, take your awareness, okay, off the fact that they don't know you, because it's not about that. It doesn't matter about that. That doesn't stop transmission from happening, right? Or thought transmission from happening, right? It just doesn't. And so, what we think is impossible, there's nothing that's impossible. You run across somebody's page, you think they're cool, you think they're attractive, or you saw them once in passing at, a place that you went into, or you work with them, but you work with on totally opposite ends of the company, and you want to get to know them, right? I mean, I've had all of these scenarios brought to me. Okay. And my clients have been able to manifest in, people that didn't even know them. So thought transmission does not just, it doesn't stop or work differently just because the person doesn't know you. Okay. And what happens is that this person, if you're going to ask me, well, what happens when they're getting my thought transmissions? Well, it's just like everybody else. They're going to, you're going to drop the idea, right, of you is going to drop into their mind, right? So maybe they start getting like pictures of like, somebody that, looks like you, right? Or they start thinking, I'm curious about this one girl at, work or whatever it was, right? Because I don't know the situation, so I'm just guessing here, right? I saw her a couple times, don't know her name, don't know anything about her, right? But she's intriguing to me. She's mysterious, right? Or, it just, things start dropping in their head about, like I said, about like, maybe finding a page on social media that is like yours, right? And then all of a sudden they stumble into yours, right? Remember that whenever you're manifesting anything, okay, the circumstances just do not matter. And this is a circumstance. The person not knowing you can seem like a big circumstance. It can seem like a circumstance that's going to stop you from getting what you want or make it impossible for you to get what you want, right? But circumstances just don't matter, right? I was in session earlier today and I had to really, really, really drive that home to my client because they were getting stuck on circumstances, right? The circumstances just don't matter. And remember that the how and the when is not your job. That is your God's job, the God within you, the spirit within you, your highest self is going to work that out. Okay. And your job is creation, saying that you want, okay, to meet this person. You want to have this person in your life, whatever you want next with this person. Okay. You want this person to acknowledge you. You want this person to slide into your DMs and, you guys exchange numbers and end up going out together, whatever you want. Okay. That is your job, is to focus on that and living in the wish fulfilled of that. However you get there doesn't matter. Okay. Affirmations, scripting, phone method. Okay. Does not matter. Okay. But that is your focus. Okay. The rest you got to give to your God. You got to give to the universe. You got to give to your higher self. You got to give to the spirit within you, whatever you call it. Okay. All the same thing. Okay. But don't try to really dissect those things, because you end up focusing on the circumstance. And because you're putting more awareness on it, you're going to get more of that circumstance. Okay. And it's going to seem like everything is just not budging in your reality to give you what you want. Or maybe things get chaotic, or maybe things get confusing. It's going to seem like maybe nothing is happening, even though there is movement with that, but it's going to seem like there's not. And you're going to get frustrated, and it's really going to seem like you're hitting a wall. And you're not. You're absolutely not. Just take your focus on the fact that this person does not know you. Okay. Put your focus on the fact that, state facts to your subconscious, that that thought transmission is always happening. Okay. That it cannot be stopped. It doesn't matter if this person doesn't know you. Okay. That you're in control of what is transmitted out into your energy field to everybody. Okay. And just focus on what you want next from this person. Okay. And really get that visual going of how that's going to happen. And you would be surprised on how quickly things will work if you just hand that to the spirit in you and say, okay, now it's your job to figure out the how and the when. I'm ready to receive. I'm ready. I'm open and I'm ready to receive this. Give this to me. I'm ready to meet this person. Right. Okay, guys, so I'm going to leave it there. Those were the questions that I feel were, something that I could get through without making a video super, super long. But you guys, I really know that you guys are really stepping into your power as a collective, because I see it on my sessions every day. Pretty much everybody that I'm working with is a success story in one way, shape, or form, whether they are living in, because I love manifesting the steps, you guys know that, but like whether they're living in their first end, right? Or they're all the way, fully have manifested their relationships or their abundance or whatever. They're all my success stories. And I am just super, super proud of every single one of you guys. And I always say this, I don't have to know you to know that you're powerful. So yeah, happy Halloween again, guys. And we're going to start a new month and keep it going with these holidays and everything, and keep it going with our manifestations. We're going to get everything we want. We're going to get everything we want right now in this moment. All right. So I love, love, love you guys. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.